thedailymass.com. Experience the Roman Catholic Mass from historic St. Louis Cathedral every day on thedailymass.com. His love, anywhere in the world.
Good evening and welcome to Issues in Faith. I'm Margaret Dubuisson filling in for Sarah McDonald.
And I'm Jason Angelette. Welcome to Issues in Faith. And we got a lot of stuff going on in the church right now.
Yeah,
very big.
Stunning news about Pope Benedict stepping down.
Yes, right.
So some uncertainty there, and we'll have to see where that goes.
I know a lot of speculation on like people picking favorites of who the next Pope will be. And it's just, we know that Pope Benedict XVI didn't do anything on the whim. This was a prayerful decision. I know his health, but there's different things I've read where his health has been a main, really big issue right now. And so we just continue to pray for him, pray for the church, and pray for the Holy Spirit.
During this transition time.
Exactly, to do and to trust in God, and like we always do. And
lots of choices to be made in the coming weeks.
That's right. Well, speaking about the Holy Father, with the announcement of Pope Benedict XVI resignation on February 11th, there's been much speculation on when the cardinals of the Church will meet to elect a new Pope. The Vatican raised the possibility Saturday that the conclave might start sooner than March 15th, the earliest date possible under the current rule that requires a 15 to 20-day waiting period after the papacy becomes vacant. Then the waiting period is in place to allow time for the cardinals who don't live in Rome to arrive. Pope Benedict will step down on February 28th. Since the last day of the Pope's pontiff is known, the conclave could presumably start sooner. Pope Benedict is the first pontiff in 600 years to abdicate rather than stay in office until death.
Recently, a Lenten letter from Archbishop Aymond to an alligator ranch owner back in 2010 has sparked interest across social media and has also reached national news outlets. The alligator ranch owner asked the Archbishop back in 2010 if alligator was acceptable to eat during Lent. Archbishop Aymond responded that the alligator and other cold-blooded animals are in the fish family and therefore permitted. In an interview about this later on WWL Radio, the Archbishop reminded listeners that abstaining from certain foods for Lent is really about making a true sacrifice. Archbishop Aymond said, "The real question is, am I doing penance during Lent? And is it a penance that my heart gets bigger to love God and to love others?"
Lent offers us a time to reflect inwardly, but also to reflect on issues that face us as a community. This weekend, the 6th Annual Youth and Young Adult Lenten Revival will be held at St. Catherine Drexel Church. This year's theme is A Mass Against Violence, to focus on bringing an end to violence in our communities. The Mass will be held this Sunday at 2:30 p.m. and will be celebrated by Bishop Shelton Fabre, featuring the Young Voice Choir, Gospel Choir. This Mass brings together young people from across our Archdiocese and is also sponsored by the Office of Black Catholics, Isaiah 43, Mayor's NOLA for Life, and Crime Stoppers.
In our Archdiocese, many organizations offer ways to focus on developing a deeper spirituality during the Lenten season. For all you guys out there, the Catholic Men's Fellowship is sponsoring a day of Lenten reflection this Saturday, February 23rd, at St. Anthony of Padua Church in New Orleans. The Catholic Men's Day of Spirituality features a presentation by 3 generations of the Finney family. Beloved sports writer Peter Finney, his son Peter Finney Jr., who's editor of the Clarion Herald, and his grandsons, Father Peter Finney III and Jonathan Finney. The day concludes with Mass celebrated by Archbishop Aymond and reconciliation.
And tonight, Catholic Women in Action, a committee of the Catholic Foundation, joins us to talk about their special Lenten speaker series for women. The committee is holding a 3-part Lenten series entitled My Path to Holiness. Margaret Dubuisson sits down with the chair of the Catholic Women in Action Committee, Barbara Windhorse, and Kitty Cleveland, a featured speaker in their Lenten series. Tell us more.
Ladies, thank you so much for being with us this evening. First of all, Barbara, tell me, what is the Catholic Women in Action Committee?
Well, it is a committee of the Catholic Foundation, which is a group of Catholics, obviously. It's a mechanism by which you can invest money for Catholic causes. If you want to be able to give your money away, then you can put it through the Catholic Foundation. There are several standing committees, and when first I got on the board, one of the things I noticed was that there were very few opportunities to take advantage of the strengths of women. And so therefore, Catholic Women in Action was born.
Excellent. You have your annual Lenten Reflection Series that begins on Thursday, February 28th, but you have 2 additional sessions and 3 separate locations for this event. Who's the series for, and what can the participants expect to see at the sessions?
It's for anybody, actually, but primarily women come to these events. And we have been very fortunate in having as many as 150, 200 women show up over at St. Francis Xavier, which is where traditionally we have held these events. This year we're expanding both to the North Shore, to Our Lady Queen of Peace, and also to the West Bank, where we're going to be at Visitation of Our Lady. But it's for anybody. It's for any woman who is interested in looking at her own sense of spirituality, her own sense of legacy, and her own sense of who and what she is.
Why don't you give us the locations and dates so that everybody knows
St. Francis Xavier is over on Metairie Road, 444 I think it is in Metairie Road, and it is on the 28th of February. Then the next one is the 7th of March, and that's over on the North Shore at Our Lady Queen of Peace, and I don't recall the exact address of that, but I'm sure you can find it if you Google it. And then we're having one over on the West Bank, which is actually on the 13th of March.
And that's
at Visitation of Our Lady, and that's on Ames and Barataria.
Now, the title of the series is My Path to Holiness, the Year of Family and Faith. So what will be the particular focus area, considering the title of the series?
Well, we felt that with the Pope declaring this the Year of Faith for all Catholics, and our own Archbishop Aymon declaring it also a year of family, that we would combine the two, because we're convinced that the family is really the heartbeat of the world, that is really what makes the world go round. And how do women contribute to that? What is it that we do or what we don't do that makes the family a really important unit?
Kitty's going to be one of the featured speakers, but you were telling me you've got an incredible lineup of presenters, and it all kind of ties back to this family and faith theme. Tell us about some of the people who will be sharing.
Well, it's really interesting. We have a priest who is the celebrant, and then he's also a speaker. And our first one is Father Wayner, who is the new rector over at Notre Dame Seminary. So he's going to be with us over at Metairie Road with St. Francis Xavier. And then on that same day, we're going to have Jennifer Besh, who is John Besh's wife, and her mother, Barbara Berrigan. And then we're also going to have Mary Matlin that day. And each of those women will get up and reflect on what their faith means to them, how their faith has seen them through the issues and the trials and tribulations of their lives. Then when we go to the North Shore, over on the North Shore, it's Father Ronnie Calkins, who is going to be the celebrant and the speaker, and then Gail Benson. I think everyone knows Gail Benson, and she's an incredible speaker.
And an incredible woman of faith.
She's a marvelous woman of faith, and she tells a wonderful story of her own life. It's a very special story that she tells. And then on that same day, we've got Joey Cleveland Caruso, who is Kitty Cleveland's mother. So we have another mother and daughter who are going to be with us on that day. And then finally, on the 13th, we have Nancy Kassan, who is the CEO of West Jeff Hospital. And we also have Wendy Vitter, who obviously is a mother and a wife, and she's chairing the John Paul II exhibit right now that's going to be held, I think opening date is March 7th over at NOMA. And we also will have Maria Robondo, Dr. Maria Robondo, who is a dentist, and her mother, actually she's Dr. Maria Burmaster, her mother is Diane Robondo.
Well, it sounds like you have a really exciting slate
and these are all great
speakers.
women of faith.
Kitty, one of those great women of faith, and you participated in this last year. So what was your experience like then?
I did. Well, I love being with women. I'm used to being with women as the oldest of 6 girls, and love how we can encourage each other and relate to each other. So that's really where I'm most comfortable anyway. And I have kind of a crazy story to tell, but there's some, even though there are some particulars that are distinctive to my story, there's a real common denominator I find among women, that we're all called to be spiritual mothers. I don't actually even have any biological children of my own. I have 2 grown stepchildren and a girl adopted from China. And really, I'm finding out...
Honey, that makes you a mom, don't worry.
Well, yes. But I guess what I'm saying is, I'm doing lots of the feeding and the washing the clothes and the scrubbing the toilets. But really encouraging each other in this journey that we're all on. And what I have found is that my greatest joy comes from living my vocation as a wife and a mother. And the world doesn't necessarily appreciate that very much anymore, and will give us the opposite message, and that we need to be independent of our husbands and of our children, and I need me time. And not that I'm against me time, because I definitely need that, but that
keeps you sane.
Yes.
But it would be a good way to get me time to go to some of these sessions, because this was a perfect way to kind of reconnect with your faith and listen to testimony from other women who have a great story to tell. You've seen how this has impacted other women who've experienced it in the past. Share some of that with us.
Well, I was just this past weekend, I was in St. Louis, and there were about 600 women there, and just I found that just sharing how the Lord has worked in my own life, I had people coming up to me and saying, it's a new beginning for me today, or you spoke exactly to where I am right now, and I just felt so alone. And it's so great to know that there are other women who have gone through the same things, and that you come out on the other side. And one of the things I'm really going to focus on in this talk, because a lot of people in the area have heard my testimony already, especially Catholic women. I have a Lighthouse CD, and so Lighthouse Catholic
your
Media.
wonderful singing career has been an inspiration for so many people.
Well, thank
You're
you.
telling us we have to wrap. We could talk about this for a very long time, but thank you for coming, and hopefully you'll get lots of folks out there. I'm sure it'll be a great success. So it was great talking to you all today. Remember, Catholic Women in Action, the Lenten series, My Path to Holiness, the Year of Family and Faith, February 28th, March 7th, and March 13th. And we'll be right back after this.
The science of learning is an imperfect one, but Louisiana Catholic schools have consistently instituted a formula for success. An astonishing 95% of Catholic school students go on to college, and last year they brought with them over $185 million in scholarship awards. Shouldn't you invest in success and the confident leaders of tomorrow? Louisiana Catholic schools, in a class of their own.
This weekend, the Clarion Herald is celebrating a very special milestone. It's the 50th anniversary for our very own local Catholic newspaper. Joining us this evening is the Clarion Herald Executive Director Peter Finney Jr. and Associate Editor Christine Bordelon to tell us more about the rich heritage of our Archdiocese Catholic newspaper. Well, thank you all very much for being with us.
Thank you, Jason.
Congratulations, 50 wonderful years. Now, Peter, you've been with the company for 20. We'll talk about
not quite 50, but
not quite 50 yet, but 20 years. But first, let's give us some background on the Clarion Herald and its role. It's an amazing evangelizational tool, awesome resources, information. Tell us more.
Sure. If you're about my age or a little bit older, people will remember Archbishop Cody, John Cody, who came in as coadjutor Archbishop of New Orleans when Archbishop Rummel's health was starting to fail. He came in the early 60s. In 1962, he decided that he wanted to produce the best Catholic newspaper in the country.
Wow.
And because he had a little bit of a journalistic background, and he also, where he was previously, he had a very keen interest in developing newspapers. So he looked around, he hired some people who were in the business, Catholics who were working in the secular media, and one of his first hires was Emil Komar from the stateside, a veteran political reporter, a dynamic guy who knows news and knew how to write. Emil hired Frank Metheny from the Times-Picayune, photographer.
Fantastic.
A tremendous photographer. That marriage was just tremendous. And then the other thing was, in early '63, Archbishop Cody said, we're going to have the finest reproduction of a newspaper ever, and they invested in these Goss offset printing presses, web presses, which produced a very fine photographic image, which was much better than even the daily newspapers of the time had. So it was like going from Etch-a-Sketch to like HDTV.
Wow,
And so when the Clarion Herald first came out in '63, the first issue was February 1963, people were amazed at the photographic reproduction. And of course, there were so many beautiful images in churches that Frank Metheny really took advantage of that. And that's really the first 3 years of the Clarion's existence. It won top newspaper, Catholic newspaper in the country.
Fantastic.
And then it just continued on from there.
Wow. So again, 20 years experience. What's that experience been like for you? And how has the paper evolved? I mean, you gave us some great insights on the wonderful imagers.
Sure. Well, when I came in, I was a sports writer. I really knew nothing about Catholic journalism. I knew how to write stories, but you know, learning the local Catholic scene here was just an amazing experience for me. And I just think that, and Christine can vouch for this, coming from the secular media into the Catholic journalism, you meet some great people who were willing to be interviewed and to tell their story, and there's so many compelling stories out there. It's been a great experience, and I think, you know, we all learned that since Katrina, especially 2005, how much people value their Catholic newspaper.
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. Christine, how long have you been with the Clarion, and what's your defining moments with your time at the Clarion?
Not quite as long as Peter. I've only been there 6 years. I had come from the Thomas-Picayune, working 25 years there.
Oh, wow, fantastic.
Yeah. So like Peter, you know, coming from secular media to the Catholic news, you know, it was different. I had a lot to learn and have met just some wonderful people who have opened their hearts to us and given us some great stories to tell our readers.
What were some defining moments? What are some of those great stories that you remember these 6 years for you?
Well, you know, I had no idea so much was going on actually in the Catholic community, even though I was a Catholic myself and reading the Clarion. But it just seems like since we've been there, I mean, Katrina changed the whole landscape of our community as well as the things that we cover. And so we've covered a lot of recovery, and it wasn't just Katrina. I mean, we've had Goose Isle, we have Isaac, we've had the oil spill, and we've had, you know, bishops and auxiliary bishops come in and retire. So we've had a lot of incredible news to cover. So between some of the disaster stories as well as bringing wonderful priests here, it's been a wonderful experience.
Well, Peter, for you, what's some defining moments for you of these 20 years?
I will never forget the day before Archbishop Hanna's funeral, when the horse-drawn cortege took his body from Notre Dame Seminary to the cathedral. It was an electrifying moment because there were so many people, not just Catholics, of course, just people from all over the city who turned out to see this great man and to pay their respects. I'll always be touched because in that 5-mile walk, you saw people that you hadn't seen in a long time. Archbishop Aymond walked the entire distance, and as we moved into the French Quarter, the people were genuflecting on the sidewalk. I mean, you just don't see that anywhere else in the country. I don't think you would see that, you know, happening. But there was so much respect for him that really spoke a lot to say, hey, New Orleans is different, and New Orleans is also a Catholic community in a lot of ways.
Well, how's the Clarion Herald celebrating this wonderful milestone?
We have a 36-page special issue, which will be in your newsstand. No, it'll be in your churches very soon. February 23rd.
Hot off the presses
this morning.
Hot off the
presses this morning, that's right.
Fantastic.
And we decided to, we think people really like pictures. So instead of writing a lot of long stories, there's a few stories in there, but there's a lot of pictures in there that really tell stories with the captions. And it's a very easy turn to flip through, and we hope that people will enjoy seeing some of the old pictures.
And a collector's item, I'm sure.
I'm hoping so. I think it really shows a real diversity in this Archdiocese, you know, from 1963 to the present moment. And it shows, you know, change from, say, cassocks back in the early 60s. Vatican II was happening right when the Clarion Herald was founded, so there was a lot of change going on within the church. But, you know, there's still there's such a connection with the past in New Orleans. I think people are going to really enjoy looking at some of these photos.
We're running almost out of time, but what is the future for the Clarion?
We're just hoping that we are producing in any form, whether it's digital or printed paper, stories that can affect and inform and inspire people's lives. We hope we are part of the Catholic community that can help you pick up a Clarion Herald. You'll be inspired, and that's what we hope to do every issue.
Well, praise God. Well, thank y'all so much for all that y'all are doing, and keep passing on the wonderful news, and God bless you. Congratulations, 50 wonderful years.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Again, congratulations for their 50 years. Looking for the Clarion Herald Special Edition in your parish next week. Be sure to follow them also on Twitter @Clarion Herald, and find them on Facebook. and we'll be right back.
I'm here today inside historic St. Louis Cathedral, a place where WLAE has broadcast the daily Mass for more than 25 years. A recent PBS ruling ensures that this valuable service will continue on WLAE for those looking for daily inspiration, and for the many who are homebound or in our area hospitals who can't attend Mass. But in order to continue to provide the Mass every day, we need your financial support now more than ever. I'm asking you to please consider donating today. We have numerous partnership opportunities available. For as little as $32 a month, you can help fund the televising of the Daily Mass, a program that lifts the spirit and enriches the lives of so many of our viewers. And for a donation of $50 or more, we will send you this beautiful signed poster of St. Louis Cathedral as our gift. Please send your contributions to WLAE TV, 3330 North Causeway Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana 7002, or to donate online, log on to WLAE.com and click on the picture of St. Louis Cathedral. For more information on partnership opportunities, call 504-866-7411. At WLAE, we've worked hard to keep the Mass on the air. Now we need your financial support to keep it going. I know that you'll help us if you can. Thank you, and God bless.
Catch the faith, pass it on. That's the theme of this year's Johan Huff Conference. Named after a Jesuit priest who served in New Orleans, the conference focuses on catechetical ministry. Janet Gross takes us to Kenner for this 31st annual event.
This is a bilingual Marian Rosary prayer guide. Oh, okay. And it's English and Spanish side-by-side text.
Great. Okay. This is the way they bring up the liturgy of the word in Kenya. They support the child on their shoulder, and then the child holds up the book.
You know, whimsy. I have a lot of whimsy in my work, and I think it's great to be able to laugh with God, you know.
Everywhere you look, there were things to try, to learn, to listen to. This year's conference was filled with all sorts of help when it comes to getting the word out.
Please bring to mind the face of one person you want to reach this year. Just one.
Breakout sessions filled the Pontchartrain Center, each focusing on a different area of religious education.
I'm teaching social justice, and anything we can do to help our girls understand their place in the world and being the body of Christ and living that message out is a place I want to stop.
They learned new things, caught up with old friends, all with that common bond of sharing the faith.
It is a sort of renewal for me. It's a personal renewal, and then it's camaraderie with my fellow teachers and friends. You know, it's a nice weekend that we have together and just take the time to talk and to learn.
And it's just to get together and know that, first of all, I'm not alone in this, that I have companionship, which is that companion, that bread, that Eucharistic feel, I think. It's that bond, that sacramental bond that we have with each other, that this is a common ministry and we support each other in it.
In the 3 days of meetings, prayers, and speeches, they were all encouraged to stand and be examples.
Ashley Brilliant, in his other book, I'd Like to Reach Your Mind, Where Is It Currently Located, writes, try to have an open mind, but not so open that everything keeps falling out. Maybe we don't stand because it's time to go and we don't know. We haven't judged where we should go.
The examination of my faith, living it out in the world, in Harvard, in Boston, wherever I go, on an airplane, not being afraid to cross myself when the plane's taking off.
Also on this jam-packed agenda, a special jam session, including a reunion of the Damians.
Speak, Lord, I'm listening. Plant your word down deep in me.
From artists to vendors.
And here's a prayer card with our free webinars that take place on the back.
They were all there to share this year's theme, Catch the Faith, Pass It On. And it all added up to a weekend of learning and encouraging and gathering all kinds of good things to take back home and share there. I'm Janet Gross for Issues and Faith.
While still struggling to reach pre-Katrina attendance levels, the conference did attract more than 1,000 participants this year from a dozen area dioceses.
Thanks for tuning in. If you have a question for us or an idea that you'd like to see on air, please write to us at Issues in Faith, 3330 North Causeway Boulevard, Suite 345, Metairie, Louisiana, 7002. Or you can email us at questions@WLAE.com. Plus, if you miss an episode, you can catch up online at www.archdiocese-no.org.
And that's our program for this evening. Thanks for watching.
We'll be back next week. Hope you join us again soon. Until then, God bless.